You are Locked On Dodgers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh my God. Well, this has been an utter disaster to start the second half of the season. Fortunately, the Dodgers won, so that's good. Freddie Freeman coming through in a huge way, a grand slam in the 8th inning. I'm Pete Fox. I've been sitting here for the last 15 minutes talking to myself, not on, thinking I'm on. I'm like, where are the comments? Why are people not jumping in here like the regulars even? Mr. Seabad's in there. What's up? I don't know what happened. I hit start. I hit everything that I normally hit. And nothing. That was totally throwing me off. Like, why are people like Craig and the usuals not in there? And I'm like, what happened? What's going on? I'm 15 minutes in and I'm like, I'm not even on. So thankfully the Dodgers win this game 4-1 on the back of Freddie Freeman's 7th career grand slam and 15th home run of the season. I got to do the whole thing again. There is nothing worse than doing a show and then having to do it again. And then the other thing I did, I completely stepped in at starting the show, like the Dodgers for the first 7 innings of the game where they were just doing nothing. I have my notes all ready to go. I was pulling out my sponsor reads, everything setting up like I normally do. And then I was like, where are my freaking notes? I'm looking all over the place. I can't find my notes. Oh, I threw them in the trash. They're all ripped. I had to like scotch tape them back together. That was 15 minutes ago when I thought I was doing the show. Jesus, what a mess. Way to start the second half, even though there's only 65 games remaining. 97 games into the season, and we're doing the All-Star break. Why can't they do it a little bit earlier? That's weird. Anyway, I've been covering sports in LA since 2007. And usually I can get the damn show on the road. I can usually get the show started. You wouldn't know that I've been around here for a while. Thanks for listening to us on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. And you can watch us on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. You make Jeff and Vince, the Locked On Dodgers hosts, your first listen. And then you make me your second listen right after the game. We appreciate you everydayers just making the Locked On Podcast Network part of your life. Today's episode of the Locked On Dodgers Postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of every city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. And I've already done the sponsor reads and everything. Well, now I got to go do them again. Christmas. It was like my Booking.com read was really good too. This is just friggin' ridiculous. Well, the game got off to a bad start. A leadoff double from that Duran character, Jaron Duran. Born in Corona, California, not far from where I am, but went to school in Cypress High School in Anaheim. I do a little high school PA in Irvine for Crean Lutheran High School, and in our league, we face Cypress High School all the time. We are the top 2 schools in the league in most sports. We're kind of fighting back and forth in most sports, not all, but most of them, like the big ones: football, basketball, baseball. I didn't know that Cypress had such a good baseball program. I think it's pretty average, to the best of my knowledge, but an average player, a good player can come out of an average program. It feels like Duran made his bones at Long Beach State, playing there for 3 years before getting drafted. But he's on fire. All-Star game MVP with a home run, a double to lead off the game today. The only home run and run scored for the Red Sox. So a good game for him. Fortunately, it would not be enough because Freddie Freeman got a little ticked off in the 8th inning when they walked to get to him to load the bases. And even after the grand slam, he's sitting there with a sourpuss look on his face. Grumpy old Freddie. I know he hasn't been going well of late, but nobody on the Dodgers has been. The entire team's been a disaster going into the All-Star break. Losers of 6 of their last 7. We don't need to get into the details of the abomination that was the Philly series and then the complete unraveling in Detroit. So this is a good way to start the final 65 of the season. A Freddie Freeman grand slam. That was down and in, and he owned that pitch. I mean, he was waiting on that slider, didn't do a whole lot of anything, and, he was locked in, unlike Shohei Ohtani today, who was a mess. Even the double in the 8th was an excuse me accident. Barely inside the foul line, but that was an ugly at bat too. He was just lucky, but that's baseball, right? I mean, you get lucky and you make contact, but the Red Sox pitchers owned Shohei, 3 Ks, and he looked awful in all of them, swinging at balls a good foot out of the strike zone high. I know he's a tall guy and all that, but I mean, those were just terrible at bats from him. The first 2, the up rising fastballs that he was flailing at were awful. And then the third one, he got set up with a curveball in the dirt. And then I think it was a fastball in potentially, but it was not a strike. And he again was over swinging. So fortunately he made something happen in the 8th. And I guess that's all we remember, right? This game was ugly for 7 innings. There was just literally nothing to feel excited about, nothing to get fired up about, nothing to feel positive about, that the Dodgers were going to, get things rolling, get into the second half of the season on the right foot. Teo had a double. That was nice to see. We had that Vargas error in left field where he cut in front of Andy Pages. And that's on both of them, by the way. Vargas, even though it wasn't considered or scored an error, it was an error because he A, cut in front of him, and B, dropped the ball. But that's on Pages as much as it's on Vargas because he didn't say anything. And if he did, he didn't say it loud enough, right? He had his hand up. And we've had this happen with Vargas before. With Pages before. And Dave Roberts had to sit down and have a talk with him. Teo Hernandez was having a talk with him back then, the first time it happened. So, I still say, look, he's got to be more aggressive. He's the captain of the outfield when he's the center fielder. He's got to call that guy off aggressively, verbally. Can't just put your hand up. It's not enough. So I put that on both of them. But to Vargas's credit, after he made that play, a couple innings later, he throws out that O'Neill character who had 3 infield hits, by the way, none of which should have been base hits. He throws out that guy kind of loafing back to first base on a lazy fly ball to left field. Vargas was paying attention. He was aggressive. He threw him out, and that ignited the Dodgers offense for the next inning because Vargas came up to lead off the 8th, got on with a walk, and that ignited the rally. Chris Taylor struck out, which was ugly. We got to get to that. I already broke down Chris Taylor's ugly strikeout. I guess I have to do it again. I had a good tease going into the break. Stay where you are. Don't go anywhere. We're going to break down Chris Taylor's ugly K in the 8th inning. So I guess we'll just do that again because it was not pretty. And I agree with Nomar Garcia Parra, who was the color commentator tonight with Joe Davis in the booth. I agree with the sentiments of Nomar about Chris Taylor and really kind of ultimately about the Dodgers in general right now or leading into that 8th inning. And we'll do that right after the break. Second break of the day. Yes, a doubleheader for the commercials. Craig is correct. All right, I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. Place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. That's also where you find Jeff and Vince doing the Locked On Dodgers daily podcast. Boys in Blue with a come from behind 4-1 win on the back of Freddie Freeman's 15th home run, his 7th career grand slam. All right, let's see if I can do this booking.com read again as brilliantly as I did the first time around. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers Postcast brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about, but maybe didn't necessarily want to go there because your rival resides there. And that's how I feel about Boston. Never been there, wanted to go. And I kind of feel like the Dodgers and the Red Sox are sort of rivals because of all that World Series history that they've had of late and the cheating and all that other stuff the Red Sox were doing. And I hate the Red Sox and I don't want to go to Boston because of that. And it's kind of unfair. I've heard it's a great city. They even exploit that in their Booking.com television commercial. They have two Yankee fans with their kids somewhere in the New England area. You know, the kids are dressed as lobstermen and they're hanging out in Boston wearing their Yankees gear. So I get it. I want to go to Boston. I think it's a great city. I've heard it's awesome, but I'm hesitant and reluctant because of the damn Red Sox. With hotels, bed and breakfast, or bead and breakfast, as it says here on the copy, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more, Booking.com. You might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival's city. From hotels that overlook the stadiums, like Petco in San Diego, to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this Major League Baseball season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rival city. Book today on Booking.com, the site, or in the Booking.com app. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers Postcast also brought to you by Prize Picks. I had a little prize pick going on the first round of the Open Championship in Royal Troon, and it was an utter disaster. I had Scotty Scheffler paired with Rory McIlroy, and Rory absolutely wet the bed, missed the cut by a long shot. I think he was 13 over par. So that was ugly, and now I'm hesitant, although I do kind of like this combo. Shane Lowry with 3 birdies and Daniel Brown with 2.5. I feel like Lowry could go above, and Daniel Brown, the unheard of, who led after round 1, probably will go under. He's coming back to earth a little bit. Well, check it out. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports fantasy app with over 3 million members. Easiest and most exciting way to play DFS is just you against the numbers. You pick more, you pick less on 2 to 6 players and their stat projection. Watch the winnings roll in. Promotions like lowering the stat projections on Tuesday, getting entry fees back if you lose on Fridays. Part of what they're doing right now to attract you. So check it out. Quick deposits and easy withdrawals. My initial deposit was super painless and hassle-free, and I got that 100% bonus up to $100. Prize Picks is available in more than 30 states like California, Texas, and Georgia. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use that code LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match. Again, up to $100. prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. It's that easy. Unlike turning on the record button. I think we're on now. We're on now, right? Right. Okay, good. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Dodgers Postcast. A 4-1 come from behind win on the back of Freddie Freeman's grand slam, which he didn't seem to enjoy all that much, which I'm surprised about. Didn't seem like the most gregarious outgoing guy, but you think a grand slam that won the game, maybe he's having fun now, but afterwards sitting there on the bench, just to have this sourpuss look on his face, really, because they walked to get to you to load the bases. I mean, yeah, it's cool. It motivated him, and that's what we need, what we want. And that was timely for sure. Chris Taylor's K, though, in the 8th was pretty ugly, mainly because it was a ball. You know, maybe caught a hair of the strike zone, but not with the naked eye. That was a ball. Catcher doing his whole frame job. McGuire, I don't know if the umpire fell for it based on that. He just it felt like he really wanted to pull the chainsaw. I mean, he was ready to, he was ready to ring him up right there, you know. But I will agree with the sentiment that Nomar Garcia-Parra had at that point. In that situation, because Vargas came up after the double play in the 7th inning, lead off the inning with a walk to get on base, which the Dodgers needed. Got him on the Diamond Dogs list tonight because He had the error, but he made up for it with the throw and then led off the 8th inning with a walk. And then Chris Taylor stands there in a crucial spot when they need to put the ball in play and make something happen and watches a ball that's just too close. And Nomar said it, and I agree. You cannot, in that situation, watch that ball go by you. You got to offer at it. Put the ball in play. You can't be that fine trying to walk on a ball that close to the zone. Sure, get a walk if it's, like out of the zone. But in that particular situation, got to make something happen. And the Dodgers lately have just not been making things happen. So that was unfortunate, but it worked out because they loaded the bases anyway. And Freddie Freeman, a 371-foot home run down the right field line, scoring Vargas, Ohtani, and Will Smith. So that was awesome. I mean, it was kind of mind-boggling. I didn't necessarily believe what I saw. It almost seemed too good to be true. The other good news from today's game is the starting pitching. Gavin Stone was not great, but really good. And that's something the Dodgers have not had in a while. 15 games to be specific, with a +8 ERA. That's the starting stats for the Dodger pitchers. 15 games since Gavin Stone's last complete game against the lowly White Sox. June 24th, I believe, was the date. It's the last time that a Dodger starter got a win. That's an ugly streak. Tonight's another game. So it's 16 games the Dodgers have not gotten their starting pitcher a win. But Gavin Stone, 6 hits, 3 Ks, gave up just the 1 run on the home run, 80 pitches. I thought he looked good. He got out of a handful of jams. The Red Sox, with runners in scoring position, were 0 for 11. And even worse with runners on base. So the Dodgers, Stone, Bonda was fantastic. 17 pitches in 1 inning, 2 Ks, the rest zeros. His ERA at 2.1. Vesia was fired up. He's becoming one of my favorite guys. When Vesia comes into the game, I appreciate his attitude, his focus, his energy, all of that stuff. He and Bonda are kind of like the opposite of each other. Bonda's got the glasses, super cool, laid back, doesn't seem to have a whole lot of energy. Vesia comes in like jacked up on roids, like you let him out of a cage or something. And I appreciate that because you can't help but feed off of that as a Dodger player. Yarbrough was okay. I was a little worried there. Who's with me on that when Yarbrough came in? Oh no, here we go again. But gave up 1 hit, the rest zeros, 10 pitches, got out of the inning. And then Daniel Hudson, a double play. He only threw 13 pitches, 1 hit, 1 K, and got the save. Yarbrough gets the win. Hudson's ERA now 1.59. Vesia 1.25. Just completely almost non-existent. Here's tonight's Diamond Dogs list. Oh, by the way, who's the is it Mr. Seabad who likes the hats? I think it's BC always makes fun of my hat. Anyway, I got a new hat. What do we think of this? Los Angeles Dodgers established 1890. It's kind of a trucker hat. It's got a relatively big crown. I don't love the crown, but that's what all the kids are wearing. So I figured, hey, and it was on sale. So, and I got another one coming for my birthday, which is right around the corner. My daughter bought me one. So 2 more hats. And then I think I'm gonna get a 3rd one that I found on Amazon. So, cause I found a gift card. Like, oh yeah, that's right. I have a gift card from like 3 months ago. So, some new hats here on the Locked On Dodgers postcast. Let's get to the Diamond Dogs list. Teoscar Hernandez in at number 5, a 1-out double off the wall to left center. It was a really, really nice at bat. Caught the ball a little bit out in front, but stayed on it. And that was just good hitting from him. And, they referenced the home run derby because, of course, Teoscar won the home run derby, and they were surprised, Nomar a little bit more specifically, that he was catching these balls not kind of right, in that sweet spot. He was catching them out front and still hitting the home runs. So they believe, hopefully, they feel like it's a bit of an anomaly, or it's that thing that happens when you go to Vegas. you only hear the stories about people winning when they come home from Vegas. You don't hear the stories of I lost $250. I lost $500, whatever. You only exploit or focus on the home run derby participants that kind of go cold in the second half of the season. You don't talk about the guys that are fine afterwards. And if you really break it down, it's a very few participants in the home run derby who fall off the face of the earth for the second half of the season. So let's keep our fingers crossed, knock on wood, that Teoscar Hernandez is not one of them. A nice night for him. For number 4, Vesia, great effort, striking out the side in the 7th. So he's in at number 4. Again, I'm a big fan. Number 3, Vargas, that leadoff walk in the 8th was clutch to ignite that rally, which was capped with Freddie Freeman's grand slam. Number 2, Ohtani's excuse me double down the left field line. At least he put bat to ball. So I guess the 3 Ks can be less painful, but it was not pretty. We'll take it, right? We'll take it. Whatever. And for number 1, obviously, Freddie Freeman, grand slam, 371 feet, down and in slider that didn't do a whole lot of anything, and he was waiting for it. Whipped his hands through the zone. Home run, his 7th career grand slam, and 15th round tripper of the year. Love it. Very nice. Shohei Ohtani, on the other hand, needs to find some mojo. The thing about Shohei that is driving me crazy is that his numbers are still good. How is it possible that he looks so bad most of the time, but yet he continues to put up decent numbers, striking out like crazy? You know, people just, I think, want to overlook all the bad because there's so much good, but I don't know. I mean, it can't, like, stats are stats. They are what they are. It can't be that much bad, or he wouldn't be batting 316. But when he strikes out 3 times in a game, I'm like, what in the hell is that? And the Dodgers need offense. Like, we can't have Shohei Ohtani striking out 3 times at balls that are a foot out of the zone. Unless, of course, he gets an excuse me double in the 8th, part of a 4-run inning, right? I mean, I don't know. It's mind-boggling. He's infuriating. I love, like, this guy is a love-hate relationship. That's what it is. Obviously, I love him because when he hits home runs, or, you know, most of what Shohei Ohtani does is exciting. But when he looks bad, it's just infuriating. I don't know. I don't know. It drives me crazy. I can't figure it out. Anyway, this is the Locked On Dodgers Postcast. You can watch us on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel and listen on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. Thanks for making us your first and second listen of the day. We appreciate the everydayers checking us out, getting various opinions. I come on right after the game and break it down. Jeff and Vince do the daily podcast Monday through Friday. So they're off for the weekend. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Let's take our final break and come back and put a lid on this thing. I didn't do the first break the first time through. So this will be my second break. Stay where you are. When we come back, we'll get to, there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about. Can't remember what it is now. Oh, I know what it is. The Dodgers' lack of energy. Again, this is driving me crazy too. All right, we'll do that next. It's the Locked On Dodgers Postcast. Stay there. All right, tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers Postcast brought to you by Supply House. Get supplies from the site that's made for skilled trades. Supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands. Get your order delivered right to your door, fast shipping, coast to coast. If you need help with an order, you get an expert support staff there and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and you can talk to a real person every time. I love that. That is such a big deal. I can't stand all of this automation stuff. I guess I'm old school. I like talking to people. Generally just once, though. I don't need to do it over and over again. Pros and skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining Supplyhouse.com's free trade master program. Every trade master gets an access code to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere Just a few clicks. Supplyhouse.com. All right, Dodgers with a 4-1 win. I love this win. I feel good about this. I feel like it's what they needed, but at the same time, 7 innings of lackluster energy has me worried still. Good news, Joe Kelly is back. That's good. Gratterall closer. So they're getting help, right? As far as the offense, Mookie's still a ways away. That's a problem. Still waiting on what's going on with Max Muncy. So that's also something I'm a little worried about. But the fact is that they're starting to get healthy. Kershaw's getting closer. The starting pitching, I believe Yamamoto is throwing the ball again, although they moved him to the 60-day list. I think that was just a maneuver I saw today that he's throwing. So that's good. He's probably not all that far away. And what's his name? The Dodgers' number 1 starter starts with a T. And why am I blanking on his name right now? Trevor? No, it's not Trevor. It is Tyler Glasnow. See, I told you, started with a T. It's like how quickly we forget. He's been gone for like 2 weeks, and I forget his name already. So anyway, they think he's not even going to miss a start. So that's good news too. But the Dodgers need to get some more offense, some more energy, and get some wins from the starters. But a nice performance from Gavin Stone today. He did enough to deserve a win. They just couldn't do anything offensively. So let's hope that this one hit, this one frame with a walk, an double from Shohei, and a grand slam from Freddie is enough to ignite them to, resurrect some memories of the Dodgers from like 3 or 4 weeks ago when they were smashing the ball and scoring runs and winning games and not blowing leads in the 9th inning and getting walked off by the Tigers. So I know that was a pitching issue. So that not necessarily an offensive issue. And they hit the ball very well in all 3 of those games against the Tigers. So that's the bright side, right? But the pitching faltered, and that's going to happen. The fact that the pitchers are getting back to health, getting back in there is good, right? I feel like I never was terribly worried about the pitching staff. The fact that the starters are banged up the way they are is obviously a big time issue. So I think they just need to weather the storm and hopefully get through this period of time when Yamamoto is hurt, Tyler Glasnow hopefully coming back, this weekend, potentially, probably not, maybe next week. Craig thinks Muncy is toast. I gotta kind of agree. I mean, at this point, he's just standing around in the, we're not hearing anything about him. So it's not good for that situation. Tom has a lot to say. They're lackluster because they're professional and they're middle-aged. They're not just going to play like the Diamondbacks when they played against the Dodgers. Look like old men during that series. Yeah, it's a fair point that maybe they still kind of are like, we're in first place comfortably. We don't need to flip that switch. We don't need to turn it on just yet. We don't need to break our ass and go 100 right now. Still a ways to go. 65, 64 more games, somewhere in that neighborhood. So, they'll hopefully get in a little bit of a rhythm, get healthy. The health is the biggest thing. And I don't know that there's a whole lot you can do about that. Then when you throw in the health with the productivity after being out, the Walker Buehler scenario, who by all accounts is not re-injured. He was just trying to get his head right when they put him on the IL 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, because he came back from his injury and was getting knocked around. So they were like, he needs just to kind of, decompress. But I feel like this decompression is taking a little bit too long. So I'm a little worried about what that could mean. I know most of you are just like, whatever, I'm over Walker Buehler. If they traded him, I don't think anybody would be upset. So obviously with the trade deadline right around the corner, Crochet or somebody of that nature is on their whiteboard. They're looking at ways to acquire a guy like that without a doubt. And that would be extremely helpful and exactly what they need at this point in time. Even with guys getting healthy and coming back, the starting pitching is an issue and it's got to be improved. So that is definitely something they need to focus on. I feel like the offense is not good right now, but hopefully tonight will kind of turn things around for them, put them in a different frame of mind through this series, facing a Boston Red Sox team who's pretty hot right now. They've won 5 of their last 7 coming into this series. So winning this series would be big for the Dodgers after that road trip, which was an abomination. I feel like this was a great way to start it. Freddie Freeman with the grand slam, exactly what they needed. And Shohei Ohtani really kind of dug tonight out of the dirt, as Clippers announcer Brian Seaman likes to say. He dug this one out of the dirt. Shohei dug tonight out of the dirt with 3 atrociously ugly Ks. Finished it with a 1-for-4 night with a double in the 8th inning. Came around to score, and most people will forget about the 3 Ks because of the double. Me, unfortunately, I can't get those ugly swings out of my mind. 1-for-4 for him. Will Smith, 1-for-4. Of course, Freddie Freeman, 1-for-4, 4 RBI. Teo had a hit. And then the rest of the lineup, Ofer, Pajes, Miggy, Gavin Lux, Vargas got on with a walk, and then Chris Taylor 0-for-3. So top of the lineup taking care of business. Bottom of the lineup, not so much. Let's hope they turn it around tomorrow and get everyone involved and win this series tomorrow. Toot sweet, quick and fast. Let's get it over with. All right. Thanks for joining me. I made it through a show and a half tonight. I'm exhausted. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Dodgers Postcast. You can find us in 2 places: on YouTube on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, and you can listen to us wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. And that's also where you find Jeff and Vince Monday through Friday doing the Locked On Dodgers daily podcast. You make them your first listen. You make me your second listen right after the game, and we will break it down. Thank you so much for checking in. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night, and early part of your Saturday tomorrow. Is a 4:00 start tomorrow for this one. 4:15 to be specific. Justin Robleski will take on Brian Bello again, 4:15, and we will talk right afterwards. Thank you for checking in. Have a good night. We'll talk tomorrow.